The one thing I personally didn't know before traveling by sailboat was just how slowly we would move in between borders. How we would actually come to live in the places that we arrived in. How much we would actually become part of the places that we visited. And how much I would question what it really meant to be a guest versus an inhabitant. What? Oh, you want me to tie the white one on the same side?
Oh, you have to undo the critical for low, tie the beam and retie the critical.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tie it on the same side. Last video we had engine problems again. Robbie had to change the oil filter that had been leaking so much that he could see oil spurting out of it. But after changing the oil filter, we still had several other active leaks. So I did my best to stick some little catching trays so that we could pour the oil back into the engine later. Now, deep and far back into history, an old master philosopher in approximately the 4th to 6th century China wrote about being inextricable from the universe, among a lot of other really chill recommendations. In the Tao Te Ching, each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity, by Lao Tzu. Benedicto Spinoza followed in Lao Tzu's footsteps to say that we cannot be conceived one substance different from another. That is, there cannot be granted several substances, but one substance only. Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, or just Hegel, was very influential to other philosophers who came after him, as he introduced the vast, but frankly confusing, but also very powerful concept of the GEIST, or the spirit. The spirit of the universe, consciousness, or humanity in the process of coming to know itself over time. In other words, humanity is nature reflecting about itself, and over time progressing towards the purpose or the goal of truth and freedom. Though not necessarily in a chronological or linear way, sometimes we have to move back and forth throughout time to look for answers to our problems. In Hegel's view, we have to seek to engage with difficult or alien ideas throughout history so that we can learn lessons that we would otherwise miss. He uses the example of nationalism. Many people, governments, and movements throughout history have expressed a desire to be proud of where they come from. This kind of pride can be good. It can be a counterbalance to our egos by identifying with a concept that is larger than ourselves. But nationalism is only good in moderation. You should not go to the extreme of excluding all others just because they don't come from the same place as you do. What happened yesterday? We sailed off the anchor. We put up the spinnaker halfway through the day. We spinnakered all the way into the night. But then at about 3 o'clock in the morning, the wind suddenly changed and the spinnaker jibed itself. The wind direction had changed, so we had to take that down, and we have now the normal sails up. There's a lot of gray clouds and rain and wind coming out of these clouds.
Oh, caught one fish.
Oh yeah, Robbie caught a fish. What is it called?
It's a yellowtail jack.
Which was fantastic. Just off the southern end of Chinchero Bank.
You see?
It's not always Robbie that's in the rain.
Yeah, sometimes I put the wife outside.
Finally, Hegel also discusses the idea of the state in his work. The state meaning humans coming together to form society. His concept of the state connects with that already mentioned concept that since we're all progressing towards truth and freedom, hopefully we're all aligning with the inclination towards freedom through logic and reason. Throughout our travels and sailing, I've learned, obviously, the places we visit are not places to control or places to conquer. These are places to learn in. These are places to discover our shared nature and humanity. We get to see how other people are getting along through their lives, doing their daily tasks, sometimes struggling. Sometimes it can be frustrating, but ultimately showing us something that we'd never considered before. We'd been steering for 2 full days against the Gulf Stream current without the wind vane, and we had to take a rest stop in Belizean waters. We carefully made our way out into this isolated anchorage, and soon after the park rangers came out to our boat to charge us about $10 that we could pay online. And then the next morning we were on our way again. Again, we skipped Belize. We decided that we would be stopping in where we could better afford the check-in fees. Although we love it here, Robbie knows that he can make friends easily with the fishermen and their little motor sailboats, but it was time to cross towards the Bay Islands. This was the calmest we'd seen it in the Caribbean Sea in a long time.
Oh, hi!
And we only had the chance to turn off the engine in the final hours of that day. What did the Belizean guys call a stray dog?
They say they call them pot lickers.
Pot lickers?
Yeah, because they lick the parts that, the dirty parts that get left around.
There's a little pot licker. In the pitch black, 20 miles off of Roatan, we came to a halt in what seemed like an endless patch of sargasso weed. We got out of it only by going in reverse with the engine, and then forward, and then reverse, and then forward. There was no wind to even get us out of it. We were totally stuck. But when the sun rose, we arrived amongst the fancy hillside mansions and gangs of lurking cruise ships. We had been warned that this Honduran island would be like this, but there's nothing like experiencing it firsthand. We anchored and visited the harbor master and immigration quickly, the process which cost us nothing at all. And then we decided to get out of this murky cruise ship harbor. We continued down along the side of this green paradise, seeing the sources of the island's power and the sources of the people's income.